Okay. All right, so this is the Carver Conservation Commission meeting. It's May 7th, 2024. 25, rather, sorry. Thank you. This meeting is being cablecast by Area 58, Community Access Media, Channel 15, and will be posted by Area 58 on YouTube as soon as possible. We have quite a full agenda tonight. We have about 10 items to discuss. So a lot of these are continued, so they should move along relatively quickly, we hope. So our first order of business is two discussion points. One of them is SE 126-422. It's a COC request. And the second one, we're going to push that back a little bit. It's from the Buzzards Bay Coalition, and they can't make it here till a little bit later, so we'll push that back until they show up. Okay? All right, so we'll go on with the SE 126-422, the Beatons Inc. off of Wareham Street. Is there anybody here to discuss that? All right, you guys want to come up? Just sign in if you could, right there. I know we have that weird table tonight. I don't know, somebody else set that up, so whatever. Looks like we're having a party in here, but.
Talk about it a little bit?
You can just briefly give us what's going on, what you're doing.
You might need to pull that mic a little closer.
Yeah, you might have to pull the mic a little close to you.
Yeah.
Just identify yourself and then let us know, what's going on.
Okay.
Yeah.
Just identify yourself.
I'm Justin Ward,
Uh-huh.
and owner of the property that's on the screen.
So Justin just recently purchased the property from the Beaton family, and there was an order of conditions on that property, which included a completion of a water hole. Well, they decided not to dig that water hole, and the order of conditions is still open. And in order to have a clean title to complete the sale, we have to have everything all cleaned up.
Okay, so maybe you can give us more of the gory details on the paperwork here. So.
Steve reached out to me about this. They have an old order of conditions, which is a remnant from the previous owner, Beatons Inc. And they
They can't hear you.
yeah, they had a permit on this property to complete a water hole, and you can see it up on the screen there. That's the site. Four of us were out there earlier today, and we went to the site and walked the site. It's kind of a right now it's just kind of an open area. There is a wetland, which I can show you. The wetland on the site is this large wooded swamp here. And so in order to access this area, they had to build an access road, which they have done. But this was a permit from 2007. And they're just trying to clean it up off of the title so that they can, finish the sale of their property. So what I would recommend in this case, it's similar to what we did with the Slocum Gibbs property at the last meeting, where he had a similar project. It was a reservoir that was never completed, and we issued a invalid order of conditions because it's not a complete COC because the project was never completed. So we can't give them the complete COC, but we can give them the invalid order of conditions. It does the same thing. It closes the order off of your deed. So it's not going to be a complete COC because the project was never completed, but it will essentially do the same thing, take it off the title, and you guys can move forward. So the only question I had was, do you guys have any plans in the future for this area?
So the question was, do we have any plans for the future?
There is no plans in the future with this thing.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, so like Emil said, Ann, myself, and Curtis went out and looked at the site. I mean, the previous owners, excavated that because they were going to put another reservoir in there. But it looks like you guys went out and smoothed it off a little bit recently or something like that, or what?
There was a little bit of sand left over that the prior owner wanted to use for bog renovation, so he
Uh-huh.
took that and they smoothed it up, yeah.
Okay. Other than that, I didn't see any issues with it. I mean, what about you, Curtis? You good?
Yeah, I'm good, yeah.
And then I'll wait for Ann there. Trying to get that fan's awful loud. I don't know. Trying to get it to shut off, but it's,
being in a wind tunnel.
yeah.
Yeah, I'm not sure how to use that.
Maybe just pull the mics close as you can to your.
I'm sorry.
What, do you have any comments on this?
No, I mean, it looked like they got pretty far in excavating for the reservoir. Like, it was all level, but I guess they just stopped then. So that was a long time ago. So I have no concerns.
Did you say it was from 2007, the original?
Yeah, and originally it was issued in 2007. I have a plan here if you want to take a look, but it's essentially what they have up there. It was supposed to be a reservoir, and that was never completed. Same thing we had at the last meeting with Mr. Gibbs.
Thank you.
Or Mr. Garrettson, I should say.
Yeah.
Much better.
Yeah, so I think it makes sense to just close this out so that it's not on their deed and they can, move forward completing the sale.
Right.
And then this is kind of the cleanest way to do it is to issue the invalid order of conditions, and that way, we can say it wasn't ever completed, and if they ever need to come back and do something that is within, our jurisdiction, they would have to come back and talk to us at that point.
Start the process all over again.
Yeah.
So do we have to, since this isn't a hearing, do we have to close it, or can we just vote directly on this thing?
No, you don't have to close it. You can just vote to issue the COC as an invalid order of conditions.
Okay, do I hear anybody, motion to issue an invalid COC, is that what it's called?
Invalid order of conditions.
Invalid order of conditions.
COC, yeah.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved in seconds. So, all those in favor of the issuance of a invalid order of conditions?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, it's unanimous, so that clears off that one. So you're all set then?
Thank you so much, folks, and
Thank you.
should I stop to see you?
Yeah, you
Emil?
can come by the office tomorrow. I'll issue the permit, and you're gonna have to record it at the Registry of Deeds. That's like, how the process gets fully closed out. So just make sure you do that and bring me a copy of the recording when it's done.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you
Thank
very
you.
much. Do you have to sign anything on that one?
Yes. So I asked Dave, just since we have so many hearings on this meeting, that that we sign them as we go, just so that I don't at the end miss any of them
Chasing
for
us
you
in the
guys.
parking lot.
Yeah, so we'll just sign each permit as we go.
All right, thank you guys for being patient. Okay, so now we're going to move on to, since we're skipping over the Buzzards Bay Coalition. They aren't here yet, are they? No. We're going to go on to the continued public hearings, and the first one is for 0, 15, 16, 17, 19, 21, 25, and 27 Fuller Street. It's DEP file number SE 126-686. And it's an ANRAD. It was continued from a previous meeting.
Yep.
So anybody here for that one? Oh, you're here. Okay, here you go. Sorry. I was looking down too much. Okay.
So I will just say we also have John McGrath from Strong Tree Engineering. He's the person who did our third-party review at the last hearing on this. We had, the commission had asked for a third-party consultant to be hired to review the stream on the property. And I'll pull up a map of the property. And so they have done that. Strong Tree has done that for us.
All right. All right, so I think if you all remember, like I said, Emil mentioned the last time we were here, you wanted a third-party review to confirm or refute our findings on the site. Emil sent me a copy of the report today from Strong Tree, and it appears that they agree with our findings that there is no perennial stream that flows through the bogs. So in the interest of keeping it brief, I'm just going to say I think at this point, I think our ANRAD plan is complete. And I think we're ready to move on with this.
Should we have the consultant speak a little bit, or no, I do not?
That'd be
Is there any
great,
need?
yeah.
Yeah, just,
John McGrath, PWS, I work with Strong.
if you want to come up.
Yeah, can you come to the
Yeah,
microphone,
yeah.
please?
Thank you. Just real quick,
Yeah,
just for the
sure.
record.
John McGrath, I'm a PWS, I work with Strong Tree Engineering. On April 10th, myself and another individual went out to the site. We walked the whole perimeter of the site, made a lot of observations. Found that the site is very high in the watershed of flow that goes actually north toward Watuxet. And, unlike most of the town, goes south to Buzzards Bay. And we generated a report 2 weeks later, and we made a finding that there was no perennial stream on the property, and we provided a lot of reasons and information to support our finding. And I think you have a copy of the report. I'd be happy to answer any questions if you have any.
I mean, I read through it.
I read it, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
think most of us read through it already, the digital copy, so. And for anybody else in the audience, this is a map of this area up here. They have, 6 proposed lots there. As you can see them down there, sort of the bottom of the screen here. And the colored buffer zones there. So, any comments from anybody here?
No, I just asked that. I think, like, what you guys said was there is a perennial stream coming from the other side of the street. It's just that it's coming into this property and getting dispersed, mostly because there's been a lot of manipulation of the channels. Is that right? So, like,
Well, I think that there was a stream channel shown on a previous USGS map, and that was the basis for establishing that on their plan. We went across the street over to Fuller Street Pond. We walked the perimeter of the bog that's adjacent to it, and we followed some groundwater flow that was actually making its way through from across the site over to this site through the culvert. And a lot of that was due to the fact that they had just recently excavated the organic material out of the channels, and you could see where the groundwater was actually coming into the channels. It was iron oxidate bacteria, a sheen and gelatinous material that you find when you actually dig down in the groundwater. And the anoxic, the iron discharges from an anoxic state to an oxygen, free oxygen, and you get this material forming. We didn't find any direct flow coming from the pond. There is a structure that restricts and allows for flow out of the pond. There is a levee along the north side of the pond, and at that particular point along the ditch through that bog on the opposite side, we could see turbidity in the water, and that's where the groundwater was actually moving. But ultimately on the site, as you progress to the northeast corner of the site where everything ends up from topography, the flow ceases, and it's a pretty stagnant area with a recovery pond at the bottom that actually pumps back in the opposite direction when they have to flood the bogs. Beyond that, there's a shrub swamp that's shown on the mass mapper, or the wetland mass mapper, and it's also shown on the USGS map. there is no channel that goes through that swamp, that's the lower end of it. And eventually, through other sets of bogs, north and east of the site, on the USGS map and on the Mass Map of Topography, you actually start to see a stream channel forming. And at some point, it becomes perennial quite a ways north of the site, and empties into the Watuxet River. So that was, that's what we found.
So you don't recommend any changes to the original delineation then, right?
There was something off-site that we weren't actually to make an opinion on, that was shown as a perennial stream. We looked at the property itself. There is no perennial stream. I guess that's a call of the commission if you want to change that or make another determination on that. So.
Didn't all the historical maps show a stream running through there?
So again, like going back to our previous meetings, we have a USGS map that's from like the 1930s. So this is a long time ago that had the stream.
Right.
And at one time there certainly was a stream there. That's what we've kind of discussed at length at our previous meetings. However, this is a site where the wetlands have been altered significantly over the years. Maybe this was done even prior to the Wetlands Protection Act. So at this point, we have a bog system, and the question was, is there a perennial stream that actually runs through the bogs, which is the case with some bogs in the town of Carver. And this is one of those sites where it's very difficult to tell. And so I think it's that's why we have a third-party consultant that take a look at it. And I think in many cases, like you have a stream that flows into a pond and then it flows out of the pond on the other side, you don't really call the pond itself a stream. It's, the stream is on either end. So I think, the same thing kind of goes with a bog like this in some cases. And that may be the case here. So I guess my only question for you guys is like, in terms of the analysis of like the stream flow when you guys were out there,
Right.
what was like the methodology for kind of taking a look and determining what you guys determined?
Well, we looked at the volume of flow. It was extremely low as a trickle. And it was introduced by the excavation down into the groundwater. The pond elevation sets up at about 108, and there's a dike, like I said, on the north side of it. And then this actual bog system is down, between elevation 103 and 101. So the groundwater in that area is moving from west to east and from south to north. And you can see it in the perimeter ditches within all of the bogs. The current USGS map, the 2024 map in January, actually shows all of the ditches and all of the bogs in town. And it does show on the lower ends of the watersheds interconnections, stream channels between the bogs. This particular location, there is no channel that connects through the shrub swamp from the bog system to the next set of bogs heading north. As far as the old channels are concerned on older USGS maps, I mean, sometimes they're shown and they're not perennial streams. If a stream is named, it's more likely on a map to be a perennial stream. Plus I think the area up where Fuller Street Pond is located, that watershed area may have been split in different directions to accumulate water in that pond, so that there was water available to flood these bogs on the high end. But over time, all of the grading and changes in direction, where some of the water was potentially taken that was flowing north and was diverted south, possibly. But just because you have an old channel on the map, it doesn't always necessarily mean it's a perennial stream, just from my experience. I mean, we have to assume that based on the DP's guidance, but I've found in cases on older maps that They may just be stagnant channels. And they do have to flow year-round. I mean, we were out there in April before the onset, a heavy onset of the growing season, before you have evaporation and transpiration occurring, and the flow levels were extremely low.
So that whole area, the pond included, has all been manipulated over the time. And this is,
Yeah.
we're looking at the end results now.
Yeah, I think there's an area to the west of the pond that actually flows to the pond, and it's hard to tell on the USGS map.
Yeah, are
But
you
I-
referring to this pond down here, the Fuller, is this the
Yes.
Fuller Street pond?
Right, that pond there, and
Mhm.
there's areas to the east of there that actually flow toward the pond. And then there's control structures all around the pond, and water can be diverted in any direction.
Right.
If you go on the actual site, on the west side of the site, there's actually water sitting up above the bogs that is confined up there into a deep marsh. I think that's that dark area shown up in the corner.
Yep.
That actually flows east, but on the very low end of the site, there's a shrub swamp, and there is no channel that goes from this site through that shrub swamp. And by the time you get down to the bottom end of it, you actually can't find any flow at all occurring.
So Emil, remember when we walked the site and we walked all the way to the top past the buildings and we
Yep.
thought we saw where the outflow was? Can you?
Yes, so we went to the site, and I think, this was a while back in the winter time, and I found there was a lot of flow coming through this flume from this pond into the bogs at that time. And then, we went back to this area, which I think you were mentioning earlier, where we, kind of thought, maybe this is an outflow through this. There's a flume right here. It's about a 2-foot diameter culvert, and it was, obviously there was, a lot of hydrology in this whole area, but I didn't see a whole lot of flow at that time coming out of there, but that was just something that we had looked at on
Plus,
our
there's a
initial site.
pump house at the bottom as well, which tells me that it's there for a reason, and the reason it's there is during the dry weather, to bring water back uphill to the bogs. And I did interview people on site who manage the bogs and asked some questions about the availability of water during the harvest.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, I think it's tough just because there's so many different boards up and dikes that control the water. It's hard to.
But if you go to the Mass Mapper, there's a 1-foot contour interval map, and if you follow it closely, you can actually see exactly where all of the water flows from this site all the way out to the river.
Okay, yeah. I mean, I think we've seen other cases where the perennial stream is really clear. It's not
Right.
so much here.
All right, does anybody in the audience have any comments on this? All right, I mean, oh, yeah.
You gotta come up.
You gotta come up and sign in there if you don't mind, maybe.
I was just at the site today,
Oh, okay.
and I took several pictures, and right where he's saying there's no flow, yes, it's a minimal flow,
Uh-huh.
but clearly, I mean, he's saying they cleaned out the dikes, but when you look at that area, I took pictures of it, it clearly flows out to the right. All the streams are filled to the right, I can speak loud enough. Everything is filled out to the right, everything to the left, to the northeast is dead. I got spots where you can see where it comes out of that pipe, it's flowing fine right there, very slow, but it's coming out of there, and there's a visible high spot, so it can't even flow to the left, and it's easily flowing straight ahead to the right, right where he
So
wants to
when you
build
say
all those
right and
lots.
left, are you talking about like this
When you're
is,
standing at the street,
yep, this is left
yep,
and this is right?
yep,
Yeah.
And so you're saying things
And
are
I-
going this way?
yep. Well, I can point right at that map where the culvert comes through. I can show you pictures right now that have, there's a high spot right where it comes out of the culvert. There's a high spot right here. The water goes just like this out. Everything is full to the right, and then across here, it's all mud and water. I mean, if that doesn't tell you it's flowing downhill somewhat,
Yeah, and I don't necessarily think the question is like, is there flow? Because there's definitely a
Okay.
lot of hydrology on the site between
Yeah.
all of these different wetland areas. The question really becomes, is there a definable perennial stream? Which is, something that we've looked at in depth, and again, it is very difficult to say,
Yeah.
And I don't know, I think we've reviewed this at length, and I think it's kind of, in my opinion, it's a situation where you have like flow that's coming in, and then it's being dispersed out through this bog, and then there, may be some outflow at the end. And so I personally think that, if there would be a stream, it would be, this channel that's coming from the pond would be considered a stream. And then, potentially back at the other end of the property, this
That's my
part
point.
would be also considered it.
Well, that's what I'm getting at. It basically flows up to the right, goes to the point of that retention pond there. And not to mention the gentleman that you were speaking to, they've only owned the place for about a year, and they've completely renovated the place. It's been totally gutted out and changed, so everything's been changed in the last, year or so. There was a culvert at the northeast side of that property that's now gone, due to manipulation. So, you can see where, okay, it's not a perennial stream, but there's water getting over to that point somehow.
This flow that goes through there, there's no question.
Yeah.
And that's what supports that shrub swamp at the bottom end.
Sure.
But when you go to the USGS, the most current survey, there is no channelization all through that shrub swamp at all. And in order for it to qualify as a perennial stream, it has to be pretty substantial. It probably is, there's some intermittent flow through the site, no question, but we couldn't find the presence of what we consider a perennial stream.
So we just don't know where the water goes.
Well, we know
Where it comes, but we're just gonna say,
we know where it comes from, and we know where it goes, but if you look at the definition of perennial stream, there's certain criteria that has to be met in order for it to be considered a perennial stream.
So if it makes you feel better, it's still a wetlands.
It's
Yeah.
still protected.
So it's still a wetlands and that's protected. The only thing we're trying to figure out tonight is if that's a river has
Sure.
different
No, I-
guidelines, so,
yeah.
we're just trying, that's all we're doing. We're not doing anything with the lots
Well,
tonight.
no,
We're
I
just-
understand that,
okay,
but
I
it's
just wanna
still a
make sure.
matter of,
Yeah,
if there's this
If there's-
perennial stream here, now, he's not gonna be able to build all 6 lots. As it is, obviously it's for another debate, but at another place, but it's still, could qualify, only 3 lots.
I just wanted to make sure that you,
No, I
yeah,
understand.
you got it,
And
okay.
that's why I'm having
I appreciate it.
All right, thank you.
Thank you. Any more discussion on this from us here?
So it looks as though you can't really define a stream here, right? We've had 2 people look at it, so I think we're gonna have to go with in my opinion, the delineation that we've seen here, so.
Close the
Yeah,
hearing.
so,
I want to entertain a motion to close the hearing.
So moved.
Second.
Could I just ask a real quick question to Pat? So now that we've had the, 2 wetland scientists review this, and, we have 2 opinions that there is not a perennial stream, are you guys looking to have your original plans approved, or the revised plans that show, I think the last plan that we had showed a 200-foot riverfront buffer off of this culvert here? Do you guys?
I was gonna ask you the same question, because I noticed which plan you put up on the screen was the one without the,
Well, I just kind of pulled up
Right.
the one in the file. There is another one that shows, the 200-foot. I'm probably more comfortable with the one that has the 200-foot because I don't know, there is flow there, but I don't know if it makes.
yeah,
A
I
difference for you
think we
guys.
talked about that, Emil, is, we're showing that, I guess as a matter of completeness, we'll call it, because I think you were right at the time, when us and Brad, we looked at it, we felt that portion of the channel could qualify. Obviously now, John has looked at it, and he's got a little different opinion of it based on the conditions he saw. But I think at the end of the day, we know that riparian zone around that portion of the stream it has no impact on the project. Because even the areas within the riparian zone are totally degraded and altered at this point because they're all part of that cranberry bog. So, I would say if at this point, if it gives you guys, you're more comfortable with it, Emil, and I'll also defer to John on this, if there's no issue with that, I really don't have an issue with it, because again, I don't think it has any impact because, again, everything within that riparian zone is already degraded, it's already been altered. The only thing we could do when we come back with the individual NOIs is, possibly improve those buffer areas as part of the lot development.
So summarize this then. What area are you talking,
You talking at the
Yeah.
culvert?
yeah.
Yeah, so the culvert at the bottom of the property, I think we should all be familiar with that. It's right here.
Yeah?
On their most recent plans, there is a 200-foot riverfront area that comes like an arc like this. I'm sorry I don't have it pulled up. I can find it real quick. This is the revised plan that they submitted.
Whichever ones you do, just let me know the date of it so it can be noted.
Yeah, it should be that 312 plan, Emil. Yep.
Oh, I see that.
Yeah,
Yep.
that's,
Right.
So again, Pat's saying it's not really an issue either way, but I feel a little bit more comfortable with this one just because, there is flow coming in this area. So I feel like this is a little bit more representative of what, we've seen out there. I mean, I know John was out there and also saw minimal flow. But I've been out there and I've seen quite a bit of flow, especially at the end of the winter. So I think this is their most recent
And I
plan.
think, as I mentioned at the last meeting, we did actually find the remnants of the original stone culvert
yeah.
in that location. So, we know we are in the right area, so. And I think, to be honest, like I said, I think this was the plan we were expecting to have in front of you tonight, Emil.
Yep.
So this is the most recent plan right here?
Yes.
So that's the one we're
It's
going
dated
with?
March 12th, I believe.
Okay. Okay.
So we can still close the meeting, we can still hold that.
Yep.
So,
We're closing the public hearing. So all those in favor of closing this hearing?
Aye.
Aye.
All right, so I hear a motion for, to accept the most recent plans, March 12th plans, as the correct or delineation of these properties.
So moved.
I'll second.
All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed? No. Okay.
And I think you should probably also make a motion to issue the ORAD for this
ORAD.
project. Yep.
Okay. That's a separate motion?
Since you didn't make it in the first one.
Yeah, okay. So, motion to issue the ORAD for Fuller Street here?
So moved.
Second.
Okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay.
Excellent, thank you very much.
Thanks for your time.
Thank you both
Thank
for
you.
Thanks,
all your work
thanks for
on
Thank you
doing
this.
the
guys for
work
all
on
your
that.
work.
Appreciate it. Doing all you do to due diligence,
No,
appreciate it.
you're almost welcome. We'll see you again soon, I'm sure.
If that map is any indication, I'm sure.
Yeah. All right. Okay, so our next order of business here is another continued hearing. It's 96 Purchase Street. It's an NOI, DEP file number SC 126685. So NOI is a notice of intent.
We're here
I know.
at this lovely
Just-
giant table.
I know, it's kind of cool.
I feel so far away from you tonight.
It's like a Senate hearing or something.
Oh, okay.
So maybe you could briefly just give
I
us,
didn't realize that we had this capability now, so thank you.
We
Yeah,
do
it's good.
now, thanks to
Okay.
John Neely, so.
Oh, awesome.
Oh,
Okay,
yeah.
'cause I don't need the paper. So good evening. For the record, Sarah Stearns, PWS with Beals and Thomas, and with me is the applicant Hank Wimet and Tom Mellahan from Renewable Energy Development Partners. So we were before the commission several months ago with this proposed dual-use project off of Fosdick Road in 2 upland bogs. The NOI requests approval of the project along with the variance for work in the resource area and 65-foot buffer zone. I'll leave it at that. Just if we need to go into more detail, we're happy to, and be here to answer questions. I know we talked about it at length at our last hearing.
So just, Hank went with RDP. Procedurally, Emile notified the board at the time that because we have a tax dispute with the assessor's office about whether the land can stay in 61A while it's being developed as a dual-use project. So I think Emile got the message at that point from the assessor's office that it probably wasn't, or that the board shouldn't vote on it until the tax issue is resolved. Subsequently, the attorney spoke, and apparently that isn't the case. We do have an outstanding appeal to the state appellate tax board. It's a conflict between state law and, or not a conflict, it's an interpretation of state law. So we're waiting for that to settle out, but I think that was the only reason that that you folks didn't close the
Right.
hearing and vote at the time. So just for context. Nothing has changed in the project. It's exactly as we proposed.
So Emile, what's your take on this? Just
Yeah, like they said, this was, a project that was before us before, and it's a dual-use solar project in these bogs on the Johnston Cranberry Farm. It's kind of a minor project in terms of impact because, again, we don't have jurisdiction over the upland bogs at this time. I know we're changing that, but our bylaw changes aren't going into effect at this time. So like we're kind of looking at this is a application that was given to us before we made those changes. So we're looking at it, in the light that we have been looking at these projects. And that is that, these are non-jurisdictional bogs. The only buffer zone that we had is off of this like kind of swampy pond area. And then I think there's wetland bogs on this side of the property, and they are planting trees for screening. So I understand that's part of your application as well. So I don't have an issue with this project. I think it was pretty straightforward initially, and I do apologize for any inconvenience based on, our original interpretation of the assessing town bylaws. And yeah, they've filed an abatement, so they're good for like another year, as I understand it, to, hold off on paying that.
any comments from anybody? Anybody out there? Okay.
And Mr. Chair, if I could, and
Yeah.
Emile, we understand, I think town council has opined, and I think our attorney agrees, that your proposed bylaw changes don't apply to this project. But frankly, out of an abundance of caution from our standpoint, and so we don't have to come back if somehow it turns out that they do apply, we'd respectfully like to ask you to consider us requesting a variance for the work within those upland bogs that are now or could potentially be jurisdictional. Nothing about the project changes. So if you could consider, if you so deem to approve the project, if you could consider approving it on that basis, that would be helpful to keep us from having to come back after the fact if someone down the road declares that the bylaw should have been affected for this project. Like I said,
Okay.
there's nothing different about it. It's, piles in an upland bog that
Right.
are now jurisdictional.
I mean, I'm not quite sure how we handle it. Is it a variance or is it like grandfather?
I mean, they are requesting a variance.
It's a variance
as part
anyway.
of this.
It's a
So,
variance
it-
request for the work in the
Anyway.
65-foot
It-
of the buffer zone.
Of the
So
buffer
it
zone.
could potentially be variance issued for that work in the 65-foot zone and the bog,
Okay. All right, I get it, yeah.
or something along those lines.
Yeah, there's, unless we're misreading it, there's no kind of guidance in the new bylaw about how to, get work approved in a resource, in an upland resource area. So it's ambiguous to us, but,
Right.
Yeah, I think like any other project that's in a resource area, you would, file, and, submit any impacts that are gonna be within
Right.
those resource areas. So I think it's probably how we'll do it going forward, but again, we're not really at that point yet. So, yeah, I think, again, we're looking at a project that we've done, here in Carver before. It's a similar project to other projects that you guys have done. So I think, it's up to the commission how you want to, move forward with this. But I think it's a reasonable project for what they're asking for. They're not asking for solar on all of the bogs on the property. They're just asking for this, 2 areas in these bogs that were upland bogs.
All right. Yeah, it's just a little confusing because the bylaw's not in place yet, so we're issuing a variance, it's not there. Do you know what I mean? But I guess we'll just do it. I mean,
There is work proposed within 65 feet.
There is, there's some interconnection infrastructure as well as some visual screening plantings all around the edges of the bog, previously disturbed area. So there's no tree clearing or anything or significant site work or anything like that.
Can we just add the variance on the fly like that?
Yeah, I mean, I think the question is a legal one, because this is going to be the case moving forward until our bylaws actually change, which I don't even know if we know when that will be.
So can't we just issue the variance from the 65 and then say, just for the record, just say something about this project is done before the bylaws have been approved by the state?
Well, that's my question.
Yeah.
If this is done before the bylaws are in effect, wouldn't it make them not have
I
to
would
come back?
assume it would be grandfathered
should be.
in.
And this,
Again, I agree, that's what
Yeah.
the town's council has advised, and I think our council has the same understanding, but. like
That's
said,
what I thought.
We've been, we've been surprised before.
I understand why you're nervous.
no, and I get where you're coming from 100%. My concern is, can we just add to a variance on the fly like that?
I wouldn't say that you're adding to a variance. I would say you're issuing them a variance if that's your decision to
So
issue a
variance
variance.
it covers the whole project, doesn't matter even though.
Yeah, I mean,
initially it was just for the 65.
essentially, all that a variance is through our board is that we're issuing a permit.
Correct.
So
But
that's,
The
know,
initial application was for a specific spot, not all-encompassing for the whole thing. So
mhm.
my point is, if we're gonna issue the variance, we don't have to add any special language. If I'm reading what you're saying is correct. If we issue the variance, it covers the whole project,
It
regardless of
encompasses
what.
The whole thing.
Yep,
Okay.
that, I mean, I don't really necessarily
no special
include
language
any
needed.
specific language, no.
Yeah,
Okay,
that was where I
yeah,
was.
that's
Yep.
a good point, yeah, so, all right.
That's what
Okay.
we're gonna get.
We
Is-
think
are you
you'll
good with- is that
be
okay with
fine,
you?
like,
You-
we should be fine. I don't think
Yeah, I
you'll
know
have
we're
to come
telling you
back.
that, but
We're
we might
telling you
not be
that.
here in 4 years, and somebody else is sitting here. so-
Well, it's on the record now, so
Yeah.
I suppose if, as part of your deliberation, if you reference the fact that we
Yeah.
have increased our request of the variance to include this potentially jurisdictional area, and that you've approved it, I think that would,
It's part of the record, so I
I
think it
think
should be
It is
good.
part of the record.
Yeah.
Like I said, I just don't want to open up a problem, like,
Yeah, we don't want to.
with an open meeting, but you know what I mean, with the open meeting law, just by saying, okay, you added to it, but we didn't have a chance to post it. or
Yeah,
anything like
again,
that.
I don't include any specific language in the order of conditions that says, okay, this was issued as a variance for a 65-foot or for a, wetland impact.
I get that, but I'm thinking about the application part of it.
Mhm.
What they put in their application, I don't have the application in front of me, I don't know
Mhm.
what it said. Was it specific just to the upland bog area?
it was.
Just to, not the upland bog area, but
The
the other
65
area?
Correct, yes, sir, if I may, it was specific to the old bylaw.
Right.
Which, so,
So that's, again, this is where I'm concerned, is that we're adding the upland bog area to this variance where it was never posted in a meeting.
Yep.
It was never part of the initial application.
Right.
So that's what and like I said, if what you say is true, you're just issuing a blank, if we vote to do a
But it's also
variance.
not, that bylaw's not in effect now,
Yeah,
so
so
we
we
can't
don't-
really.
I think we're
yeah.
covered.
Yeah, I think
I
we
don't
are.
think it's, I understand where you're coming from.
sure, I appreciate it, I just.
Essentially, like, what we're looking at now is issuing a permit for what they applied for. I mean, they're not changing their application, but I think what they're trying to say is that they're trying to avoid coming back here
Yeah.
for another permit.
Right.
And
I don't think our decisions,
that, I think our decision tonight should
And our
essentially
guidance from
permit.
town council was that these are not bylaws until Attorney General approves it.
That's
Right,
correct.
and we're not approving it because those are uplands. That has nothing to do with it, so I don't think anything should change.
All right. You guys okay with that?
Yeah, it's on record that,
Yeah.
we have it in writing, I think that town council position is that because we filed the application before town meeting, that.
Yes, I do have that
Yeah.
from town council.
Okay, if that's the best we can do, that's great.
All right.
I think it'll be fine. I wouldn't lose any sleep over it.
All right, any other comments from anybody? Okay, so I hear a motion to close this hearing.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, so.
Did you have something to say, Sarah?
No, I just wanted to remind the board that I think we were just looking for the 3 voting members for this particular project.
Right,
Correct.
yeah, Carl can't vote
Yeah,
on
I'm
this.
gonna-
Yep,
I'll
sorry,
abstain.
Carl.
Yeah,
No, it's-
All right.
I'm on it, Sarah, I'm on it.
All right, so,
Okay,
That's why I stuck
I
around.
shouldn't have doubted.
That's why we made him come back for one more
My
meeting.
last meeting, so.
Final, congratulations, by the way.
Thank you.
Yeah, we appreciate that. Like,
okay, so at this point, do I hear a motion to issue a variance, right? On this, to put in a dual-use solar for this project? So, yeah, is that it? Is that how we worded it?
A variance and a order of conditions.
Okay. And what are the orders of conditions? We didn't really discuss that too much, did we?
Well, I guess this is your opportunity if you guys do have any, specific orders and conditions. I mean, I'll include the, general conditions that we have for these projects, but if there's anything specific that you guys want to include, then that's something that we can discuss now, before we make a vote.
I mean, not really.
I think the only thing we had talked about before, which they're already doing, is putting the trees to screen, right? We had talked about that. So you're already planting trees to sort of,
Yes.
abutters won't see the solar, basically.
Yeah, we have submitted a planting plan. It has not been approved yet through the planning board process. We're actually going back to the planning board next week. So,
Okay.
we wanted to include that in these plans so that this commission would have the opportunity to look at that as well.
Okay, yeah, I mean, that would be amazing.
And is that the
And
only-
they've already,
Is that the only nuance in the orders of conditions, other than a standard order of conditions that we would issue?
I think for these projects, it's hasn't been a whole bunch of specific order of conditions that have been added in that I'm aware of. So I think it's generally it's not a huge construction project. It's just piles within the bog. So I don't really have any that I would recommend at this time.
Okay. All right, so here, motion to approve this variance with standard order of conditions, is that the right wording? Okay,
so moved.
Second.
okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? None, so 3-0,
One abstention.
one abstention. All right, I guess we're ready to go.
Thank you very much,
Thank
folks.
you.
Appreciate your time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Do you want to go back to the Buzzards Bay Coalition? I do see Alan Decker is
Well, why don't we
here.
do the Rochester people, and then we'll do that, how's that?
If that's how you'd like to do
I
it.
think we should do that, because we'll give them a chance to get out, get home. Okay, so we have three lots on Rochester Road that we're gonna be discussing. We're gonna have to discuss them individually. It's Lot 1 on Rochester Road, and that's the first one here. And it's NOI, DEP file number SE 126688. And this is a house lot on Rochester Road. And we have it up on the screen there.
This is Lot 1, yes.
This is Lot 1.
These are the new plans that they
Right.
submitted.
And I have copies of those if you like those. All 3 lots.
We'll get to your Buzz Bay people after these three. That's, yeah, thank you.
And on,
I drew
I'm Greg from Alpaca Engineering, and
Right.
Well, the basic change we made is we got the, adjusted the house and made it so that the septic system would be outside the 100. And most of the houses, except a tiny portion of it, basically it's very similar, just now the septic system is outside the buffer.
Any comments, Emil, or you?
I think it's an improvement from the initial design. Again, the commission had asked for them to try and keep the septic entirely out of the buffer zone, and they've done that. So I think this is a really thoughtfully designed, I mean, I think all of the projects that they've submitted for the revised plans, they've really tried to do their best with what we asked them to do. And again, they're proposing signs along the 65, or I think the signs that they're proposing are along the edge of clearing. Is that right, Greg?
They're on the, yes, or they're along the 65.
Yeah. So they're
Depending on
either
where they
on the
are.
65 or they're along the
Yeah,
edge
depending
of
on where it is, yeah.
the clearing that they're proposing. So I think that's, pretty standard for what this board has approved.
Yeah, I mean, it looks great. I'm glad, I appreciate you guys working with us and trying to get the, especially the septic systems outside of the 100-foot buffer. That is the ultimate concern for a lot of our projects here, is to do that. So, I mean, I think it looks, it is what we asked them to do last time, and it fits pretty well onto the site there.
I agree. It's just a teeny little corner, but other than that,
Yeah, I
it's
mean,
right in.
Looks like they did a great job.
It was nice work.
Thank you.
Other than that, I don't really have any. Do you guys have any comments?
My only concern is the reserve area of the septic.
The what?
The reserve area for the septic is still in the 100-foot, but again, it's not necessarily a deal breaker, but that's my only concern. On the,
Up the top
on the
there.
right-hand side of the septic, the reserve area, which is the backup area for the
Right.
septic if they ever had to redo it.
It's like half of it's in there.
That's still within the 100-foot buffer.
Oh, I see the reserve
Yeah.
area.
I asked my engineer
Half of
about
it.
that, because I thought you might ask about that, and he says, have you ever need to use a reserve area? And he says, in his time he's been at our company, he's never had to use
I
it.
get that, and-
Yeah. So
but
I-
it's there for a reason, and it, you know what I mean?
I understand, that's
It needs
regulations.
to be part of the plan for a reason.
Yeah, and I think they've moved the actual septic system outside of our jurisdiction,
I
so
know
I
I'm being
think,
picky, but again, it's just,
yeah, for me, I'm not concerned about that. I think, even allowing a septic system within the buffer zone is allowable under our, bylaws, so it's not necessarily something that we, are able to really enforce in terms of that. I think it's something that it's obviously a benefit to keep, in terms of the least impactful design, the septic system outside of the, buffer zone. But I don't know. For me, I would not be concerned about a reserve area.
And how often are reserve areas really used? I mean, is it not?
I would defer to,
Yeah.
to Greg.
I mean, that's why I asked the engineer, because I figured you might ask about that. He
What's
said, I asked my engineer, and he said, we've never used it, so.
Yeah, you've never used them, right? So,
like I said, I'm just pointing it out.
Yeah,
Just for the
that's
sake of
good.
pointing it
That's
out,
good.
because somebody's gonna say you didn't mention, somebody didn't mention the reserve
Right,
area,
right.
so I'm
Oh,
just
oh,
trying
good.
I'm trying to cover bases.
good. No, that's good. All right, any other comments? Any,
And I'm pretty sure we're gonna see this more tonight, from what I saw of the plans.
yeah, it looks like it, yeah. So, any comments from anybody else? All right. Okay, so, are we good on this? Everybody, they're okay. So I hear a motion to, close the hearing on this one, on lot number 1. So, hear motion?
So moved.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded. All those in favor of closing the hearing?
Aye.
Opposed? None, so it's 4-0. All right, so, then, do we have to, because of the driveway and everything, do we have to do any sort of variance on this, or is it like a?
I believe this one did have work up at the driveway in the 65-foot
It is
buffer
there.
zone in terms
It's
of
definitely in the 65.
clearing and grading, so I would say yes. And apologies, everyone, my computer just died, so.
It what?
My computer just died, so we won't have access to the screen.
Oh, no.
Get your power supply.
I still have the old big boards if you need them.
Old school
Can you hold it
method.
up there?
Yeah.
Well, while he
You
gets,
all,
I'll let him.
yeah.
You guys could go ahead.
Well, I was just asking about the variance. Is there
Yes, I do think you have to issue a
Yeah,
variance for
we're
this.
definitely gonna have to issue a variance for that.
right. And then it would just be the standard order conditions, right? Any other,
Yeah, I think, you know, they've already proposed that they're gonna put signs, but if you'd like, I can include that.
Yeah, we should
in
include the signs
order
in
of
there, too.
conditions.
and they'll be
For-
posted every, what's
Well,
the?
it's, you know, where they've proposed them on the plan, so, I think what they've proposed is reasonable, but that's up to you guys if you
And that's
wanna.
where the black box
That's where the
is.
black dots are?
Yeah.
Yep,
And that's a gravel driveway, right?
Yeah,
Gravel
that's gonna
drive.
stay a
Gravel.
gravel driveway.
That's a gravel drive.
Right. I would like to, if you could, just put a few more signs in there. Those are kind of far apart. You know what I mean? What do we got in there? I mean, how?
do you know how
We-
far apart approximately the signs are?
Especially on the back of the house over here.
Yeah, they're about 100 feet, it looks like.
Yeah, 90, 100 foot.
Yeah,
about
so
that.
I'd put them 50 feet apart, you know, not instead of 100. And we have plenty of signs to give them. It's not like a big deal.
Sure.
So I
Yeah,
would,
they're like 90 feet apart.
what?
90 feet, I think.
90 feet, yeah. we should
90
put-
to 100, so
Yeah, we should put them about 50 feet apart or something like that. You know, if that's.
you can put that in the condition.
You're right, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
That's the only thing I
That's-
would
That's fine.
add to that. Anything else that anybody sees on here that we could, or we should put in here?
Like I said, just, we gotta put in the order conditions that does not ever be anything but a gravel driveway.
Okay, that's reasonable. Okay? We
Yep,
good?
so I understand you want 50, signs 50 feet apart and a gravel driveway is a requirement.
Yes.
Right.
Yep.
Right,
Okay.
okay. All right, so, all those in favor of approving the variance on this project, which includes signs 50 feet apart and a gravel driveway, and which will also include the standard order of conditions, right? Okay, do I hear a motion to approve that?
So moved.
Second.
All right, it's been moved and seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? None. So it's 4-0 approved, okay? We good on that one?
Thank you.
Yep.
Thank you.
Oh, you know what? You guys pass around the signature sheets. We forgot to do them last two ones, so.
Yeah, thanks for reminding me that.
Got a couple of them I think we gotta do. Yeah.
Yes. 3 of them.
Thank you guys for being patient. Appreciate it.
Actually, maybe send these down. I'll sign this one and we'll, might get confusing, but
I was gonna say, just send them down, and I'll keep them right here.
Just give them back to me.
Don't pack it in your bag and
Don't
take it home.
walk out the door.
Okay, I guess my computer is deciding it's a good time to update itself.
Oh, no.
Everybody talk amongst yourselves.
Yeah, so this is why we don't say that a meeting might be a short meeting, because we jinx ourselves.
Yeah, okay. We'll get them back to you. Yeah.
And these are the Lot 2 plans. I'll pass those down.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And if you go over there, you can sign that one.
Thank you. You sign this one too.
Okay. Is it gonna come up?
I think so. I mean, it keeps trying to
Yeah.
restart, but again, we have the.
Yeah, we have the paper copies. It's good for people in the audience to see it too. Oh, the reserve, it just butts right up against this one. so.
Yeah.
Okay, this is, the next lot we're looking at is lot number 3, Rochester Road. It is NOI DEP file number SC 126690, it's a notice of intent. And again, it's, there before us a couple of meetings ago, I guess, and we asked them to move things around a little bit specifically to get the, again, to get the septic systems out of the 100-foot buffer.
Is this the right, this plan says lot 2 on it?
It
Yeah,
also,
so
it
it
says
says
formerly
lot
lot 3
two,
on there too. If you go down.
But it's.
Oh,
yeah.
formally.
Because lot
move.
2
Lot
was,
two is
Gotcha.
lot
not
2,
gonna
so
happen,
lot
right?
2
Right,
got
okay,
combined
Right,
with
right.
Making sure.
lot 3, and
I
we're
know, I
calling
figured
it
it was the
lot
right
2.
lot, I just wanna make sure the
Well,
plans.
does it
Yeah.
say,
That's not two.
If you look at it, it says lot 2 and then formerly lot 3 underneath.
oh, okay,
You know.
I got you.
So it is actually lot 3, but when they go to do the, file the lot lines and everything, they're gonna call it lot 2.
So when we do the variance, we'll say lot 2 or lot 3, we,
It's for our purposes. It was filed as lot 3, so
Okay,
it
that's
will
what it will
be
be.
lot
Okay.
3. Yeah.
okay.
But again, it's combined lot. Once they go for the planning board, it will ultimately be called lot 2.
This is the same kind of deal as the last one, it looks like. I don't know if, I looked at this, the digital copy at home, but it looks like they've done everything we've asked them to do.
Yep.
Again, it's very similar to the other one. And again, I would just recommend keeping the driveway gravel, it's my opinion. And, and then the signage, again, the same as the other one. I mean, any other thing for anybody else?
No, I agree.
No, I 100% agree.
Curtis, anything?
I'm good.
You good?
Yep.
And again, the reserve area, as Carl pointed out on the other one, is within the 100 foot, but it butts right up against the septic, the real septic they're gonna put in, so.
It's about,
There is one thing, we did move the well, and it's in the 65, but it's right next to the old cart path. So it's actually gonna be easier for a well truck to get in.
Yes, it's a clear area in there.
It's a clear area, it's
Right.
already a road,
Yeah.
so instead of cutting down trees to put the well in, we just moved it over
Very good,
10
thanks.
feet,
Thanks for pointing
but
it
it
out.
is in the 65.
You're right,
But it's a disturbed area already.
right. So I guess we'd have to include that in the variance too, right? Have the well in the 65. So thank you for pointing that out. We don't have so much of a problem with putting wells in the,
No, 'cause it's-
as we do septic systems, because it's not a point source of contamination, so. Okay. Any other comments for anybody?
Anybody out there in the audience?
Anybody? Okay. So, I hear motion to, close the hearing on, lot 3. Lot 3, as far as we're concerned, Rochester Road.
So moved.
second.
Okay, it's been, moved and seconded. So all those in favor of closing the hearing?
Aye.
All those opposed? None, so it's 4-0 to close. All right, I hear a motion to approve the variance on lot number 3, to include the orders of conditions of 50-foot sign spacing, a gravel driveway, and the well that's within the proposed well location, which is within the 65. And also include other standard order of conditions.
So moved.
Second.
Seconded. All those in favor of approving the variance for lot number 3?
Aye.
Aye.
All opposed? None, so it's 4-0 approved.
Thank you.
Okay? All right, now move on to lot number, we have to sign off on this one before we forget. Let's do that.
It's all right if you move on, it's just
Yeah.
as long as they're,
We'll just
as long
give
as
it
it's
to-
being
Sign and talk
passed
at the same
around.
Okay, we can sign and talk. Okay, so let's go on to lot number 4. Rochester Road, it's NOI DEP file number SE 126-691. Again, we have copies of that?
Here's the signature.
Thank you.
Do you need a brief description of what we changed on that, or you pretty
Yeah,
much saw
let's
that?
look, let's pull these out, take a look at them, it'd be great. If everybody gets a
Yeah,
chance
you-
to look at it.
You can tell us what you changed.
Yeah, go ahead, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Basically, we shifted the house as far over, as close to the building and as close to the setbacks as we could, and moved the septic system out of the, that way we can move the septic system out of the buffer zone altogether, and most of the house out as well. In order to do that, though, we did have to put the well in the 65 to get the 150-foot thing, but that's only temporary disturbance, and in, of course, another projects that has been approved or allowed, so. But by moving the well into the 65, that allowed us to get the 150 distance that we need from the septic system.
Right. And again, really appreciate you guys working with us and adjusting the lot, the house and the septic, so thank you very much for doing that. It's pretty much similar to the other ones, only this one, because the driveway is outside of our jurisdiction, totally. So they can do what they want with that. So the only conditions we have here is the signage again, and then the, for variance is, well, and then the well location. I mean, as far as I can see, unless you guys have some other,
Nope, that looks good.
you have anything to add, email?
Did you mention that you would also like the 50-foot signs on this one?
I did, didn't I?
Okay.
Yes, you did.
I did.
Yep.
Yep.
No, I don't have anything to add. I think, what they did in terms of moving the house, it was impressive. I wasn't sure that they were going to be able to get more than 50% out, and I think it's great that they did. So I think it's a great improvement on
I do too.
all of the proposed lots that they have before us.
Good work.
Yeah, thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, your motion to close the hearing on this one?
So moved.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. All those in favor of closing?
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? Hearing none, it's 4-0 to close. All right, so I hear a motion to approve the variance for lot number 4 on Rochester Road, which will include a standard order of conditions and and have signage every 50 feet and the well within the 65-foot buffer.
So moved.
Second.
Wait a second, okay, it's been moved and seconded. So all those in favor of approving the variance for lot 4 Rochester Road? So, what did I miss here?
I don't think
We
you
go
missed
right to a
anything.
vote, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so, all those in favor of approving this variance for Rochester Road?
Aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, 0? Okay. All done for that one, all set.
Alrighty, thank
All
you.
right, thank you.
Good job.
Thank you.
Okay, good, thank you.
You're welcome. Again, thanks for being patient with us and
Yep, thank you.
So my computer did decide to turn back on. Sorry
cool.
for those of you who missed the site plans for the second lot.
that's not on. There you go. Okay, so, because we skipped over the Buzzards Bay Coalition stuff, we're gonna, go to that real quick and have them, talk about the conservation restriction for that, because we were supposed to do it at the beginning of the meeting, but we did not do it, so. Again, hang tight for you other guys on High Street and for Tremont Street, we'll get to you as soon as we go through here.
And I promise not to be terribly long. I'm Alan Decker with Buzzards Bay Coalition. Before I sit down, I know I submitted a locus map for the project. I have some additional resource maps that I'd be happy to hand up if chair is
Sure.
acceptable.
Sure.
And there's one for you too. Yeah, of course.
I appreciate the accommodation this evening. I was just with your compatriots in Wareham on this project, and I'm happy to explain why. This is a project, this is the Weweantic River Corridor Land Conservation Project. Coalition is very excited about being involved in this project and in partnering with the town of Carver on this. You may recall some general knowledge about this project simply because last year we were busy applying for state grants to help with the acquisition of this property and came before you seeking support for one of the state grants that did in fact get awarded on this project, and Emil had signed a letter of support that went in with the grant application. And then just recently, town meeting took up the question of supporting this project with some CPA funding, and town meeting saw fit to approve that. So what this is, what you're looking at is about 750 acres located around the Weweantic River. The river actually provides the western border for this parcel. And you're looking at two different colors. That's simply because the entire project has been divided by the coalition into two components. So there's actually two conservation restrictions that are up for discussion tonight. And we did that of our own accord simply to create two different polygons, if you will, to apply to different state grant programs for which the polygons were eligible. So all that means is that we were successful in this case in seeking two different funding sources from the state for the project. It enhanced the fundraising for the project and enables us to proceed. And what we're doing with this is protecting the entire 750 acres with these two conservation restrictions. You will notice that the property does have acreage in Wareham. So this is actually a co-holding situation between the two towns over the long-term ownership of Buzzards Bay Coalition. Now, we have not closed on this property yet. We will be doing so hopefully as soon as the end of this month, but realistically more likely in early June. But state funding that is tied to this project expires at the end of June, the end of the fiscal year. So we will be closing on this no later than June 30th. And as I said, BBC intends to be the long-term owner of the property. We have some history together here in town. We have partnered with the Conservation Commission on another property project here in town, the Griffith Forest property. So that's a partnership there that already exists, and we're looking to extend that partnership with the Conservation Commission. So like Griffith Forest and other reserves we own throughout the watershed, our long-term intention here is to have the property be publicly accessible for passive recreation. We intend to do environmental education, get school kids out there, lead some of our Bay Adventure programming out there during our ownership, just to get people out enjoying the nature and the natural resources of the property. You will notice that the property does have extensive amount of cranberry bogs. It is an active cranberry farm at this time. Once we take ownership of it, because we intend for, what I should say is, long-term, we intend to do wetland restoration, habitat restoration on this property to enhance the water quality for the Weweantic River that, as I said, is the western boundary of the property. What we have learned with our other wetland restoration projects is that they take time we have to do engineering, we have to do design, we have to do modeling, we have to get permitting squared away. So we are not going to be actively working on wetland restoration from day one. And in fact, you would have seen this in the conservation restrictions. We are permitting or we're reserving the ability to do agriculture, and by that I mean cranberry production on the property through the 2027 growing and harvest season. So in other words, the next 3 seasons, because the restoration planning and funding will take time. You would have noticed and what I also should say is that the red parcel is identified in documents as the Wee-Wee-Antic wetland conservation restriction, and the gold area is the Wee-Wee-Antic landscape. Those are just artificial creations, again, by the coalition to attract state funding to the overall project. But they are very similar in their approach, the two of them. What I do want to point out, even though it's in Wareham, the portion of the orange or the gold, it depends on the color of the way the printer colors, but the portion of the gold, if you will, that's in Wareham, those southern bogs right just north of 495, those we are reserving the ability to maintain agricultural use of those bogs long term. The thought being, as a possibility, perhaps, well, I should say, I keep getting ahead of myself and I apologize. Those bogs have been recently renovated. They have newer vine varieties on them. They're very productive bogs, and our thinking in reserving the ability to continue to operate bogs in that portion of the project is that we might be able to tinker a little bit with how berries are grown, and perhaps those bogs can be maybe not as productive or potentially as productive, but close to the same production with a less intensive use of fertilizers and pesticides and herbicides.
You're talking about that area near 495 right over there?
Yeah, exactly.
Yes.
Now that is in Wareham, but I just want you would have seen that in the CR. That's the area we're talking about.
Yeah.
So, no, I can't say exactly if that's going to happen or not. We may decide to retire them. That decision hasn't been made, but that area has been reserved for agricultural use long term. We are also reserving the ability to create, formalize a trail network through the property on both CRs, and to create parking areas to enhance the public access. The locations of those have not been exactly determined, but it's likely there would be a parking area off of Route 58 and then a parking area off of Wareham Street on the western side and the eastern side of the property. Other than that, it's really just meant for preserving the natural resources that are on the property, improving the water quality, a lot of wetlands on this property, and getting the public, residents of Carver and Wareham, out on the property, visitors to town, just to enjoy the property. I know you have other hearings that need to be held, so I don't want to belabor any points, but I am happy to answer questions that any of the commission members have at this time.
You're just curious.
Yes.
I looked at the verbiage between the, you sent us to conservation restriction.
Yes, correct.
It looks like the verbiage is the same in there. I mean,
It's almost identical. That's on purpose. This is, we think of this as one unit, if you will. Again, we created the 2 CRs because we created 2 components to chase additional state money. If we had left it as one big property, we wouldn't have been able to go after 2 different sources of state funding.
what are the 2 sources? Just curious.
So yeah, and it has to do with the naming of the components. So there is a state grant program called the Landscape Partnership Program that goes after protection of large acreage. That's the gold area, if you will. That's the partnership CR. All that means is that we don't do this protection by ourselves. We partner, and in this case, we partnered with Town of Carver, Town of Wareham. So that made that eligible for that program. The outlined area in red, and you'll notice it's the vast majority is Carver. There is a small portion of that project, that CR, south of 495 in Wareham. So that is, it's not called a wetlands grant program. It's actually a program that allows for funding of the acquisition of cranberry bogs specifically for wetland restoration in the long term. So that's the reason. Two colors, two CRs, but very, very similar. The one difference really being on the landscape CR, there's going to be continued long-term potential agricultural use on those bogs at the southern end.
Oh, I see, because those are gonna be active, it's a different funding source.
Different funding source,
I
right.
get- I
Everything in red, those are gonna be retired after the 2027 growing season.
So in the active
Yeah,
bogs, the access is gonna be the same for people in the town, right?
the access is gonna be the same. Now, and I don't want to beat a dead horse by any means, but through the 2027 growing season, we have an operator lined up when we take ownership to continue operating those bogs like they've been operated by the private family owner that owns
Right.
the property right now. So there might not be access necessarily around the bogs themselves because we haven't decided that yet.
Okay.
But there will be public access long-term. But the operator there may be seasonal closures, like during harvest or something
Or
along
spraying
those
or whatever
lines.
they're doing, right,
Yeah,
okay,
or when they're treating, right.
Gotcha.
So, temporary closure, but certainly not long-term. So the action I'm seeking tonight is for the commission to assent to holding the conservation restrictions over Buzzards Bay Coalition's long-term ownership.
The only question I think you had was, I know there are buildings on the property.
There are.
Do you have any, plans to use? Are you gonna take those buildings down? Are you gonna use, isn't there a house that
A
you?
real nice house.
Yeah.
Yeah, so, and I'm glad you brought that up. So we are actually acquiring more land than is shown here. This is what we refer to as the conservation component. We are acquiring the houses that are there as well. They're not conservation though. Those are going to be put to another purpose. We may sell them. We may actually keep one for seasonal staff usership by coalition summer staff or long-term staff. But those aren't part of the CRs. To the point, you will notice in the CR, there are barns, there are buildings on the property related to the agricultural use that we're reserving the ability for one of those to stay on the Cranberry long-term. Actually, many of the buildings are coming down. There are a ton of pump houses out there right now. Those are going to stay. When we retire the Cranberry use, those will come out. But there's a barn on the wetlands CR that we're actually going to fix up. It's going to be kind of the welcome center to the reserve for the public, for us to do programming out of, to provide information about what we're doing out there and what cranberrying was all about, that sort of thing, interpretive center, if you will.
So that
Thank
barn-
you for the question.
That barn is up in that, see what says Wareham Street there?
I do see where it says
And
Wareham
just
Street.
north of there, there's a square.
There is a square. That complex area
Yeah, right up-
that is
right
on
there,
the
yeah.
left-hand side. That is not where this welcome area is going to be. The welcome bar, if you will, if you're going up Wareham Street, you'll see you cross that pond, there's like a little bump out that points
Oh, yeah. down there.
southeast. That's likely going to
Oh,
be
there's a
the
barn
entrance
there
area.
too, right?
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
there's a
I know exactly
barn,
what
there's a
you're
barn,
talking
Yeah.
a nice gambrel roof barn right
Right.
there
Yep.
that we're gonna fix
So that
up.
area we just previous, that's not included in conservation. Those are the plot lots that you could possibly sell or do something else with right up in there, right?
That's right. That area, we call that the farm complex.
Right.
That is, we are going to end up,
And
the residents we're gonna sell.
And I know that there's other property across 58, other parcels over there.
There are, and,
that-
in red, that's conservation land. There is a house on that side too. We're gonna sell that house as well at some point in
I
the
don't see
future.
it here, but whatever.
It's just south of the
Oh,
red.
there? That one right there?
On the right-hand side.
That's where the buried guys is, right? or
That's
something?
the very guy,
Nope.
No,
that's-
this is the house like just as you cross into Carver.
Okay, yeah.
Oh, yeah,
house
yeah.
there.
Where's the area though we did the,
I was gonna, yeah.
That's not shown on these plans, but
There
they
you go.
have
There.
property across the river, across. 50.
So, yes.
Okay.
Yeah,
All right.
so that's
So
a non-conservation property.
okay.
We are buying that. We call it the dog leg. That was the best. There's a lot of sand up there.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's just not, it's not a conservation parcel
Okay.
at this point. So,
Gotcha.
appreciate the question though.
Okay. So what do we have to do here?
So they're asking for the Conservation Commission to vote to hold the CR, and I assume you have documents that you would like them to sign as well.
I have signature pages that I would like to hand up to the chair. I do.
So it's 2 CRs?
It is.
One for the landscape?
You could refer to them as the Weweantic landscape component and the Weweantic wetlands component if you were looking for a way to differentiate them.
So we have to vote on them separately because they're 2 separate CRs, correct? All right.
That's probably the best way to handle it. Yes, sir.
Right.
And
Okay.
just to be clear, we hold these CRs jointly with Wareham?
You will. You'll
Okay.
be co-holders, and I'm glad you brought that up. Before you make your motion, Mr. Chair, I do want to just point out, you are co-holders with Wareham on this project. Because this is natural resource protection, habitat restoration, wetland restoration purposes, the limitation of your jurisdiction will end at the town line. If this was, there are exceptions
sense.
where towns can hold real estate interests beyond their own boundaries. The best one that I know of is when you do drinking water aquifer protection work. It's very possible a town actually owns property where a well is located outside of their own town boundaries. That's not the situation here. Your jurisdiction will end at the town line. And so, this is worth pointing out as well. When we go to exercise a reserved right, if, for example, that activity, we plan for it in Carver, we will let you know, because you're the co-holder. If there are other things related to that activity that you are regulatory over, we will certainly come in front of you with that element too. But for the exercising the reserve right, we would notify you, we would provide Wareham with an informational filing, if you will. They're a co-holder on the CR, but they're not going to have jurisdiction
Right.
or a say, if you will, in layman's parlance, on the activity in Carver. Same is true
That
if
makes
we're going to
sense.
work on that small piece south of 495, or in the area in Gold in Wareham. We would notify them officially and provide you with a informational copy of what we're doing, so that you're aware.
That makes sense.
And did the Wareham Conservation Commission sign off on this?
In fact, they did earlier this evening. That was my delay in arriving here. The matter before me took a little over an hour, which it happens. But yes, they did vote to assent to holding the co-holds on both.
Other than wetland regulations and protection, what kind of activities would you be notifying us about? Like if you're going to rip down a building or what?
Well, when we get to, well, actually, all the buildings to be removed are gonna be dealt with before we take ownership beyond the pump houses.
Okay,
If a pump house needs to be regulatorily dismantled,
Right.
we will do that
Okay.
with you,
Gotcha.
absolutely. Certainly, habitat restoration, wetland restoration, we're gonna have to work hand in hand with you on that. Whatever else is regulated, whether it's Concom or DEP or building department, we will certainly go to those boards as well.
Okay. So any other questions?
So the CR, just to be clear, like the CR has permitted acts and uses in
Right.
both of them that they are, kind of reserving the right to,
I think most of us read through that stuff.
I read
do.
Yeah.
Yeah, I read
So,
them.
yeah, that is laid out in these
Yeah.
documents.
And I know a lot of people are concerned about what type of activities, hunting and fishing and all that kind of stuff.
Yep.
It's pretty well covered.
Yeah, it's pretty well covered, yeah, as far as I saw.
Yeah,
Yeah.
those activities would be fine,
Yeah.
except on Sundays right now, right? For hunting.
For hunting,
Because there's a state prohibition on that. But yeah, passive recreation is absolutely encouraged.
Right.
okay, very good. Okay, so why don't we, I guess we have to vote on these, like I said, separately. So, let's see.
Again, Weantic wetlands perhaps as a component, and Weantic landscape.
So we're voting to assent to,
Yes.
To accept the CRs. You're a
To accept the
co-holder.
CR.
Except the
Yep.
CRs.
So we don't have to close this because it's not.
it's not a public.
Not a
hearing.
public
Not a
hearing.
hearing.
Right, so all we have to do basically is vote on whether we.
Yep,
Accept
vote
the
to
CR.
accept
The
to hold the CR, yeah.
So do I hear a motion to accept the Weantic wetlands portion of the CR for the Buzzards Bay Coalition?
So moved.
Second.
So it's been moved and seconded. All those in favor of accepting the wetlands CR for a Buzzards Bay Coalition?
Aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? None. So 4-0, accept that. All right. I'll hear a motion to accept the conservation restriction for the Weantic landscape portion of the project.
So moved.
Second.
Second, okay, it's been moved and seconded. All those in favor of accepting the Weantic landscape portion of the project?
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed? None. So 4-0 on that one too. Okay.
So just sign where your name is now.
Yeah. I'd
Very
like to
good.
thank you for the,
Thank you.
we're-
Yes,
this
thank
is
you very
an
much.
incredible
for-
gift for Carver.
Thank you for acquiring the property. I mean, I think it's a big deal.
Emil, if you don't mind, I can notarize signatures, and I'll send you scans of the signed pages tomorrow.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Sounds great. Okay, thank you very much. I'll be with the select board next, at their next meeting.
Good.
20th, something like that.
That's
Yeah.
great.
It's like buying a house.
Thanks for all your work on that. It's a lot of work.
Sign a stack of papers.
Has this really nice paper and everything, man.
I'm not messing around.
Sibling funding from different sources. But it's well worth it.
Absolutely.
Come get up, I'll come get it. I need to get my steps in. Great, okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thanks again.
Thank you.
All right. Again, thanks a lot for doing that. Okay. We're doing okay on time here. We're not too bad. All right, so our next order of business is again, a continuation from the last meeting is 86 High Street, lot number 1. It's NOI DEP file number SE 126-692. All right, so you have that up there. Do we have paper copies or?
Yep.
And you're Mr. Webby, right?
Yes, Joe Webby, Webby Engineering, and with me also is Joe Memo, it's the owner of the property. And on Lot 1,
So we have that
at the
up on the
last
screen
hearing,
there.
we didn't have a number yet, an SE number. We have
So I
since
only
got
have
an
3
SE number. But we have added some roof drains to the back of the dwelling, of the duplex. That was kind of requested by the planning board as stormwater retention. So basically, that's, the duplex is the same size and the same spot. The only thing we added to this is some stormwater retention.
So this is lot, we're
This
looking
is
at
lot 1.
One right now, right?
Yes.
The non-duplex, right?
Yeah,
No,
this is a duplex.
They're both
duplexes.
duplexes.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, I got it.
Go well over there. So that's even outside of it. Not bad.
Where's the stormwater retention?
There's a trench in the back of the.
Oh, right there. I got you, I got you, I got you.
And then we also added,
The laser might not
a
show up
landing
on this.
loading area in the
I can
front.
see your pointer, so.
Sorry, where was that, Joe?
We added a stockpile area, we added the temporary construction stone pad at the driveway,
Okay.
and we've also added an infiltration system behind the duplex. That would be for the downspouts.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, so it's essentially, this is the first lot that we looked at the last meeting, and you guys didn't really have too many issues with this one. We didn't have the DP file number, so we continued it. But it was really the other lot that we had more concerns about, I think, so.
Yeah, so, do we, since this is all outside the 65, right?
Yep, everything on this is outside of the 65.
So we don't need to issue a variance on this, right?
No.
No, nothing's in the 65.
Where's the well, by the way?
It's up
The
here.
well is over.
It's outside of the 100.
It's back and to the left.
Oh, back over
My
there.
laser
Yeah, I see,
doesn't
I see, yeah,
reflect
up
off of
over
the,
here.
yeah, back there.
Yeah. Yeah, the only thing that we'd like to see is maybe some signs or, are there trees there that could post signs or put posts in the signs or?
So it's a pretty open site as you go down there. Obviously, as we mentioned at the last meeting, the site is a absolute mess, and there's a whole bunch of trash that kind of comes down into this area. So there isn't a whole bunch of like existing vegetation back there. It's more, I would say, like disturbed earth and some, I guess. Just like low-lying vegetation. As you go further back to the site, as you get, kind of into this wetland area, there are trees and vegetation at the rear of the property, but it's not really along the 65-foot buffer zone.
The only thing I'd like to see is some sort of signage that we can put in there. I mean, I know in other properties, we put up split rail fences or whatever.
We may not need to do every 50 feet where it's wide open.
Right.
Space them out a little bit further.
And we could put posts in rather than a fence. I don't know what you guys feel. I don't know.
That's fine, I'm fine with that.
Is
You
there a
guys okay with that?
preference for the applicant?
Yeah,
for-
post at the 50-foot line?
At the 65 foot,
Oh, 65.
right along the buffer there, just, we'll supply,
So that's
we'll
the
supply the wetland signs.
pink.
Okay, good.
And put them every, I don't know. Every 50 feet's easy. It doesn't cost that much more.
Yeah, I guess, yeah.
I mean, it's, yeah.
It's-
That's
and
fine.
I
it's-
think every 50
and we're
feet.
cons- it would be
and-
consistent with it.
Yeah, and it'll just make things easier. That's the only thing really that I can
That's
see
it,
that we
yeah,
can,
everything else looks good.
everything.
Yeah, it
I
looks
really
good.
appreciate you guys like working with us on this, and again, it really helps to get these septic systems outside of the buffer zones, just because the housing density in Carver is getting higher and higher, and the more septic systems we have, the worse off the water quality is gonna get if we allow them to get too close to the wetlands, so that's the only thing that's, reason why we're doing it, so. Any other comments for anybody?
Nope, I'm
All
good.
right.
Any members of the public have any comments on this one?
The owner, no? Okay. So, I guess, do I hear a motion to close the hearing on 86 High Street, lot number 1?
So moved.
Your
Can't
second?
vote, I wasn't here.
Oh, you,
Oh, yeah, second.
second. Oh, yeah, so Curtis, you can't vote on this thing.
Yeah, no, that was the next one either.
Okay, okay. All right, so motion to close the hearing. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, so it's 3, 1 abstention. All right, so I motion to approve the, well, it's not a variance, what do we call it?
Issue an order of conditions for
The
this.
issue an order of conditions, right? On, so a motion to issue an order of condition on 86 High Street, lot number 1.
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded. All those in favor of, and you're gonna include standard order of conditions too on this, right? So to add signage and then the standard order of conditions on lot. So all those in favor of issuing the order of conditions on 86 High Street, lot number 1?
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed? None, 1 abstention, so 3, 1 abstention. All right? Okay, so let's move to 86 High Street, lot number 2.
On this lot,
Do we have copies of, we have,
oh, sorry.
are we here yet?
No, that's still one.
There's still one? Do we have copies of this?
Yep. Sorry, just give me
Oh,
a
we have to
second.
sign off on that one anyway, so let's, while he's getting that. so. You want to share this one?
We can.
Yeah.
I don't
Just to
really-
sign.
Mine
I still
was
sign,
screwed.
even though I sign still, Emil?
No, you don't have to sign that.
Okay. So this one,
Fill out the quorum, you guys, are the quorum anyway.
again, they put the septic outside the 100-foot buffer. The house hasn't really changed much inside, like you said, right? And
Yeah, what we did on Lot 2, other than the stormwater that we added on Lot 1, is we reduced the width of the duplex by 16 feet.
Very good.
And we pushed it as close to the street line, which is 50 feet, as requested. So basically, we've taken this and reduced the width. The length is the same, but we still want to have a duplex.
Very good.
And we can keep all the work beyond the 65. And the house now, or the duplex now, will be about 80.8 feet from the BVW. So it's about, 80 feet, 65 is 16 feet extra, I guess.
Appreciate you guys doing that. I mean, it's, again, very similar to the other one. I mean, they've got most of the house out of there. I don't think there's much more they can do there. I don't know, any comments from you guys?
Still, it looks like more than 50% of the houses in the,
It does.
and that's kind of the line in the sand we've driven.
We
drawn
have,
on the plans.
but every property has extenuating circumstances, I think.
Oh, I
And
agree.
this property has, first of all, there's nothing to do with conservation, but I think it's great to put it in duplexes because of the housing shortage, but that has nothing to do with us. But I think, in the big picture, it's a good thing. The site is a mess.
It's a trash heap.
It's a dump,
Yeah.
right? So I don't think, I don't know, if you don't, that's my opinion. I mean, I sort of, me personally, I'm willing to sort of compromise a little bit on this one, but, you know, that's a, any other comments on that? I mean, what do you think, Carl?
Like I said, we've held tight to the 50%,
We have,
and there's always a story along with every plan.
yeah. I don't know, yeah, I get what you're saying.
Yeah.
I understand.
I mean, it's close. It's probably 40%, or maybe 35, but I don't think I have never seen a property filled with so much junk. So it's being improved, which is the only reason I think it's worth maybe considering. Do you know what I'm saying?
No, I 100% I agree.
Yeah, it's just, it was
I guess
atrocious.
No, I get,
We- we just-
I get what you're saying, and I think,
There might be chemicals there. I mean, it's just, you know.
Isn't that bad?
No, it's really that bad. It had like a garage and who knows what's there. It's the worst I've seen.
I don't know. I do understand what you're saying there, Carl, so.
Oh, I get it too.
Yeah, I think my opinion on this would probably be that, you know, there are a lot of nuances when it comes to each site and each project that we review. And I've kind of been trying to encourage this commission to be a little bit more, you know, kind of looking at each site as a case-by-case basis, rather than saying, you know, we have a blanket statement of how we do things. And I think, you know, there are you know, circumstances where it's very important, you know, to limit impacts, you know, within the 100-foot, especially within the 65-foot. But I think in a case like this, where you have like such a disturbed area to begin with, you also have, you know, a bunch of junk that, you know, the applicant is proposing to remove. There are trade-offs to having a, you know, a project be done on a site like this where they are proposing to clean up. And I think, you know, including a condition that, you know, requires them to take all of the, you know, trash and stuff out of the buffer zone would be appropriate for a project like this. But I do think that there are circumstances where buildings have to be built a little bit closer to, you know, wetlands, you know, in order to make them, you know, viable projects and properties that, you know, people can actually use, rather than just letting them sit there as a mess in this case. And another thing that I would just mention about this site in particular is that, you know, there's this wetland in the back of the property, and it's largely created by Route 44 that runs right behind this property. And I think, you know, if Route 44 wasn't there, there might not really be like a whole bunch of wetlands in this area. It's like kind of like this weird isolated wetland that almost looks like it's kind of drainage out of the highway itself. I walked back there. I walked all the way back to the highway and saw all the junk that's back there. And I think there's a lot of benefits to cleaning this up and you know, making the property usable. So that's kind of where I'm coming from.
So you're saying by definition, just because plantage, flora and fauna basically back there, it can be considered a wetland?
It's certainly a wetland, yeah.
But it's not a true...
It's not a very, I would call it, I mean, it's a wetland, and it provides habitat value, it provides ecosystem value, it provides stormwater, you know, control and all of the things that wetlands do. However, it's not really like, you know, what I would call like really like high value habitat area. And it's also, I don't know, it's just really caused by the highways being there to begin with. So I think that that's just another factor to consider when you look at this.
Well, and I would like to stipulate too, that in the orders of conditions, is that they remove all the stuff.
Oh, yeah,
right?
definitely, yeah, it's
And
not
there's
gonna
also
be.
an old-
Yeah.
There's also an old foundation back in there, like a garage.
Yeah, there's an old
It's
shed.
concrete.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they could,
There's all kinds of
just all that old,
Chicken coops.
that old
and-
stuff,
Yeah.
just get out of there, the concrete and everything, just get it all out of there.
Yes.
If you're willing to do that, I think that sort of adds to it, you know, it's a lot of work to do all that kind of stuff. I mean,
Did you miss this meeting, Carl? I can't remember.
No, I was here for this.
Oh, you were
Yeah.
here, yeah, because the
Yeah.
woman was concerned
Yeah.
with asbestos. One question
Just
I'd
the three
have,
of us.
yeah.
it was just three of us, right?
Yeah.
I just couldn't remember, because remember the woman was concerned with the asbestos who lived across the street.
Oh,
She
moving
came.
across the street,
Right.
right.
But one question I have is, was there a cesspool or something with this? And is that something you don't really address, or?
No,
The
I
original
think there
house.
there was one cesspool, and I'm not sure, I guess it would be on this lot, kind of right off the back of this house, right?
Yeah, it was right behind the house, so it's, I think it was on lot one,
Okay,
the cesspool.
yeah.
So that's
Okay.
gonna be remediated.
Oh, yeah, that
Yeah,
has to be.
Okay,
That's
that's
junk.
Yeah, so,
Great,
uh,
okay,
I mean,
that's, well, I care about that.
so, I mean, any other comments on this? I mean, it's just gonna be the three of us voting on this one, so.
Correct, yeah.
So anything else? I mean,
No? Okay, we'll hear a motion to close the hearing on 86 High Street, lot number 2.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded. All those in favor of closing the meeting?
Aye.
All those opposed? None. So, and then
Abstain.
one abstention. Okay, so, do I hear a motion to, approve the, orders of conditions and this, and we haven't really discussed them all. Again, some signage there would be good, right? Just like the other one, every 50 feet. Dispose of, remove, and dispose of the old foundations and sundry junk out there. And what else can we put in the orders of conditions? Anything else that we should?
So I think you said, signage every 50 feet along the 65-foot to be
Right.
clear.
Yeah.
And then I would consider it 2 conditions. One, clearing up the trash on the site, without damaging the wetlands. No heavy machinery in the wetland area, that kind of thing. I mean, they may need to use machines in the, disturbed area to begin with, but once, you loam and seed the area, obviously that 65-foot will be the protected area. And then the other condition would be, crushing and demolishing the foundation of the
Old
shed.
shed.
So I would guess I would consider those just 2 separate conditions, yeah.
All right. All right. So I guess we vote on whether or not we want to do this or not, right? So all those in favor of approving the standard order conditions and the,
You got a motion? You need a motion?
we need a motion to approve the standard order conditions, removal of junk and removal of the old foundation, right?
Yep.
Those are the 3 things beyond the regular standard order conditions, right?
Yep.
Okay, your motion to do that?
So moved.
Second.
I'll second.
You don't have to, I could second it, right? I mean,
I'll second.
okay, okay,
I'll second it for the sake of the vote.
okay. So, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed? 1, and then
Abstain.
1 abstention. So 2, 1, 1. All right? So, that's all set, right? 3's a
Yep.
quorum, so you're
That
good to
is
go,
approved.
right?
Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks for working with us on that,
Yeah, really do.
making those changes.
Okay, now. Oh,
Have a good
oh,
night.
Yeah, again, good luck, and I appreciate you guys working with us on this thing.
Is that
We have a quorum of 3.
quorum 3, so 2 to 1?
Yeah, we're a 5-person board, and obviously there's 4 of us tonight, so 3 constitutes a quorum, as it always does with our board.
So we're good, right?
Yep.
Yeah, okay. Good job, Carl.
Forget to have him sign that one.
Oh, we gotta sign that one.
Yeah, I know.
Good thing you're here tonight.
Yeah.
Thanks for showing up.
Yeah.
Okay, here we go to our last
I have
one
a
right
big
here.
deal.
We're gonna
Call
go
us
here.
from home.
Yeah. Wait, maybe we need to move this back over there.
She earned it.
Yeah.
All right, so we don't have DEP numbers on this one, final DEP numbers?
We did receive
We
DEP
did get 'em?
numbers, I think yesterday for these.
Okay.
So, it's SE 126, 694, and 695. So you can review them and vote on them if we get to that point tonight.
Okay.
You can also request a continuance if there was something, that comes up in
Yep.
terms of the
This is the
design.
first time we're seeing it, so.
Right.
Yeah, the new hearing.
I don't know if you remember, we went out there, we'll talk about it.
Dave, you can go ahead and read the,
Oh, yeah, this is new, so I gotta read the whole thing. Oh, yeah, here we go. So this is, 278 Tremont Street, lot number 3, NOI DEP file number SE 126, 694. Notice is hereby given in accordance with Massachusetts Wetlands Protection Act, MGL, Chapter 131, Section 40, and the Carver Wetlands Protection Bylaw, that a public hearing will be held at 7 PM on Wednesday, May 7th, 2025, in meeting room number 1, Carver Town Hall, to hear the notice of intent submitted by Derek Varley, Next Gen Builders LLC, to build a new single-family dwelling with a septic system and associated grading within 200 feet of a riverfront area. This project is located on 278 Tremont Street, lot number 3, Carver, Mass. Assessors map 126, parcel 25. All interested parties are invited to attend.
Okay. Today, Ann, myself, and Curtis went out and took a look at the site. We talked to the, I guess it was the owner, right? Mr. Varley? Yep.
Mr. Rowley.
And we did have some current concerns out there, and we talked to him a little bit about that, and he seemed pretty amenable to the things that we discussed, which we're gonna discuss here. Emil, well, maybe.
Yeah, Joe Webby,
Joe
Webby
Webby,
Engineering, and with me also is Scott Varley, the dad of Derek Varley. But they purchased the property at 278 Tremont Street. We've subdivided it into 4 different lots. This is Lot 3. There's Crane Brook is to the east. There's also a mean annual high water that we have delineated in blue. In that, we had come to you last year and got an ORAD for that. So the line, and then we have our pink line, 65 foot. The green line is the 100 feet off of the mean high water, and the purple is the 200 feet. And so what we proposed was to have the house beyond the riverfront area, but it put the septic system between the 100 and the 200. And we have that, so it's designed to be 150 feet away from the BVW and the mean annual high water mark.
All right. Emil, what do you think?
So I think, in a project like this, there are regulations around the riverfront area, and one of those regulations is that you have to look at the least impactful alternative to the project. So I guess my question for you would be like, what alternatives did you guys look at when designing this project?
You're talking about economical, or I'm not sure.
Yeah, so
I did submit an alternative analysis.
Yes, but like typically when I see an alternatives analysis, like we see like actual, like, I don't know, like thoughts about where things would be placed on the site and things like that. But I don't know, I just wondering like what alternatives to this design did you guys look at when you looked at the alternatives analysis?
I'm confused, Emil. We created lots that we would like to construct single-family dwellings on. We can easily build this dwelling beyond the riverfront area. All we're asking for is some disturbance to put in the septic system. That's really all we're asking for.
I understand that. I guess like my understanding of the alternatives analysis is that you're supposed to kind of look at, different designs that would possibly impact the riverfront area less. And I guess I was just wondering, like, was there any alternative to keep that septic outside of the buffer zone, or the outer riparian zone? I don't know, because for our commission, like, we're typically a little bit more concerned with septic systems in the jurisdictional area rather than, the house as much. So I was just wondering, was there alternative that was looked at to keep the septic out and maybe have the house partially inside of the area?
Well, we certainly did some thinking about what we could use. We can use 10% of the total riverfront area, so we're easily meet the Riverfront Act. I'm not sure where you're going with this. Do you want us to take the septic system and move it? Is that what I mean, we've already looked at that, but
Yeah,
I'm not
no,
sure.
I think, like, in my opinion, there would be a positive if the septic was outside of the riverfront area. I'm just wondering if that is a possibility and if you guys looked at that, because, you know, the commission is a little bit more concerned with like these septic systems being like point sources for pollution and things like that. So that's, I guess, my only question is there a possibility to keep this outside of the riverfront area in terms of the septic system alone? I know you have a lot of moving pieces here. You have 4 lots that you guys have designed with wells and septics and stuff like that. So that makes it, you know, kind of a puzzle. So I just wasn't sure if you guys had looked at that when it comes to the design. I know you guys have designed these like for a long time. You've been looking at different options for this property. I've seen the plans for quite some time now, so I'm just, you know, curious if this was something that you guys looked at when it comes to designing this
Well,
lot.
The answer is yes, we have. We've looked at these for a few months. We have to have something within the riverfront area. It's either going to be the dwelling or the septic.
I'd rather have the septic out and more of the building in.
Yeah, I mean,
I
we
think we've
could
been pretty
swap,
consistent
easily
with that.
swap
Yeah.
the well and the septic, but we have to move the house back.
Excuse me, what?
We would have to move the house,
Right.
yeah.
Well, I can't.
So we're more
Not
agreeable.
really all of it into it,
Right,
but a
but
little
I
bit.
think that's, we've been pretty consistent with that, and you know that
Yeah.
because you've been in front of us
Yeah.
many times.
Yeah.
The septic system is definitely the one thing we want to see out of the protected area more than anything else. We'll allow portions of the house to be in it before we're
So
really
we-
comfortable with the septic system.
Right, so you have a well there already drilled, is that correct?
Yes.
Right, it looks like it. But I mean, it looks like you could slide the septic up closer to the house and move the house over a little bit. You might get it all in there and be the correct distance away from the well, which is what, 150 feet or something like that?
It's 150, right now, we're
It's
157.
157, but if you could slide the septic up the side of the property line there to the north and then get it outside the 200 there, that'd be perfect. I mean, how close can the house, can the septic be?
20 feet.
Yeah, so you have a lot of room there to work with.
Well, we don't, really.
Well, no, but if you were sliding arc,
No, without taking the well and putting the,
there's no way
literally
you could
swapping the two.
turn the septic 90 degrees and put it up in there.
Did you say the well's already there? 'Cause
I
it says-
don't know.
It says
No,
proposed.
that I wasn't aware
The
of.
well is built, yeah.
We saw that,
Yeah. And that's outside of our jurisdiction, so I think, you know, Mr. Varley had reached out to me and asked me, you know, if there's preliminary stuff. You know, this was a while back before we had these applications, like, can we clear parts of the lot that are outside of our jurisdiction, stuff like that. So I told him, you know, if it's outside of the 200-foot riverfront area, you guys can go ahead and, you know, do, you know, lot clearing, stuff like that. So I don't know if that was something that, you know, they just figured, let's go ahead with the well, but again,
That's a risk.
and
Without a set of
there's also
plans.
on that, there says existing building, that building has been raised, and it's just the
Just the
stone
stones now.
stone foundation there.
Yeah, we don't have an issue with wells going in the buffer zones, but,
Yeah, so the riverfront area obviously is like a, you know, it's a different type of resource area. It has a 200-foot buffer zone. Typically, when I look at these projects, like I look at, you know, the first 100 feet should be left undisturbed if possible. The outer riparian zone, I feel like there's more room to play with. Stuff can be built in there, you know, without having major impacts on the river itself. I just think it would probably be a better alternative to have the house within the riverfront area rather than the septic system. That's, you know, my opinion, and if that's a possibility to look at, like designing that in that way, then I think that would be a positive for this project. But I know you guys did do, you know, you listed in your application the alternatives analysis, and you guys mentioned that you're only disturbing, I think it's 6.79% of the overall riverfront area on both lots. So they have, essentially with the Riverfront Act, they have the ability to disturb up to 10% as long as you can demonstrate to the commission that this is the least impactful alternative. And so we'd like to see some, alternative,
Well, just to see if we can get the septic out
design
of
to
it,
see
if we could. I mean, if you can, and I was just sort of doing preliminary stuff. It looks like you could swing it over there if you turned it 90 degrees and up into the side there.
And I think we have to look at the cumulative, it's, like, we're looking at this lot now, but it might be 3 or 4 septics that are within,
Again,
impacting this river.
Well, only 2 of the lots are in our jurisdiction. The other
Okay.
2 lots are already approved. They're outside of
They're
our
outside,
jurisdiction.
yeah.
So there's
two.
no
Well-
impact
well, looking at the-
from the other 2 sites.
Should we consider the other lot at the same, you know what I mean? I'd like to see what the other lot looks like. I know I looked at it online, but I don't remember, I don't have it committed to memory. Because
It's the same.
what we do here,
It's
Yeah,
the
well, we
same.
have this
Could affect
public
the other
hearing
one.
open, so like we should
no,
deal
I'm just
with,
saying, it's just,
deal with this, and then, I don't know, like, it's, again, it's up to the commission how you would like to,
Well, I would like to see
handle
the hearing continue to then see if they can move the septic. See,
Yeah.
do some measurements, see if you guys can do that. I mean, I don't know what you're feeling.
no, I agree,
I mean,
I agree as well.
right. So, so is that sort of the feeling?
Well, we'd like to ask for a continuance then on this.
Right.
yeah.
Yeah. Do they have to ask for continuance or we do it? Oh, they do.
they have to request
Okay.
continuance, yeah.
Okay, so if you don't mind, that'd be great. All right, so do we have to vote on that or not?
Will you think you'll be ready for the next meeting, Joe?
Is there
Yes,
any public comment on this project? Scott, do you have anything that you'd like to add?
Me? I really don't have anything to add. I kind of thought everything was already, thought we could put the septic system where we had it on the plan according to the Rivers Act, but we'll try to accommodate whatever we can for it. I mean, if I have to drill a new well, I mean, I guess it's my fault for trying to save money and do everything at the same time, so that's my fault. So I guess I'll have to keep that.
Yeah, and you can put the well wherever, I mean, we don't really have any issues with the well. I mean,
It was just a cost thing for me, because I had the guy out there, he did all 3 at the same time, so it was costing me less.
I gotcha.
That's why we did it.
Yeah,
Yeah, I get it.
And that makes sense, and
yeah.
That was the proposed,
Yeah.
so.
Yeah, I appreciate that. I mean, so, all right. So we'll continue this one then?
yep.
So we have to vote on that?
So the
Yes.
21st,
So,
you'll be ready
The
on the 21st?
Yep.
So I make a motion to continue this
Now-
hearing.
I won't be here. And Savory,
Won't be here, and he won't be
I
here.
won't be here.
well, Savory will be here.
No, he won't be here.
But I'm saying
Savory
that
isn't part
Savory,
of this.
because of the Mullen rule thing that we knew
Well, yeah,
have
the
now
Mullen
have,
rules in
Yeah, the
effect
Mullen
now.
rule applies,
Savory could,
as long as he
Watch
watches this
this.
meeting
yeah.
and
So
signs
we'd
it.
Yeah,
have to
so
remind,
The one
our
we voted on
chairman,
before
our
the Mullen rules.
current chairman is away right now. When he comes back for the next meeting, he's going to have to watch this hearing and sign an affidavit that he watched this hearing so that he can vote on this. Otherwise, we're not going to have a
because I
quorum.
won't be, we won't have a quorum because I'm not going to be here. So.
All right, so I make a motion, we move this hearing to the 21st.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? No. Okay. It's continued. Thank you, guys. I really appreciate that. And then, the last one.
Nothing to sign on this one. Yeah.
This?
This one is open septic.
Oh, this one? Oh, boy. This one. Okay. So, Ann, myself, and, oh, yeah, I'm gonna read this one. Sorry. A long night. Okay. Notice is hereby given in accordance with the Massachusetts Wetlands Protection Act, MGL Chapter 131, Section 40, and the Carver Wetlands Protection Bylaw that a public hearing be held at 7 PM on Wednesday, May 7th, 2025, in meeting room number 1, Carver Town Hall, to hear notice of intent submitted by Derek Varley, Next Gen Builders LLC, to build a new single-family dwelling with a septic system and associated grading in 200 feet of the riverfront area. This project is located at 278 Tremont Street, Lot 4, Carver, Massachusetts. Assessors map 126, parcel 25. All interested parties are invited to attend. Okay.
Joe Webby, Webby Engineering, and also with me is Scott Varley. So basically, I think we're facing the same questions here. We've tried to design a 4-bedroom dwelling and a septic that'll be 123 feet away from the the river and the mean high water.
The only thing, I mean, again, the house I don't have much issue with, I think it's a septic, we should just try to get that out of there if we can, you know? That's the only thing that I would,
Yeah,
I mean,
we're gonna run into, they're gonna run into the same problem with the well.
right, I know, unfortunately, I don't like that, damn.
This well, I don't think has been
This well hasn't been drilled
constructed,
yet.
so there is potential to move the well somewhere in
But he has
the
to be 100 feet,
riverfront area.
50 feet from the other well, but if he's
Yep.
gonna move that
Yeah, but
anyway.
if they're gonna shift over this way,
Yeah,
they can shift the
so
well this way.
the well could be somewhere on the south side of the house.
Right, yeah. So-
if that's possible. I think, yeah, that's north, so yeah, south
Yeah,
somewhere,
it'd be the
the
south
well
side.
could be put
So you-
anywhere in there. I mean,
So you're saying that they can disturb 10% within the 200-foot riparian area? Right there?
that's if they can show that they're,
Right.
you
There's
know,
no other
Least
option.
impact.
Right.
their
Right, I gotcha, understand.
alternative is the least impactful, yeah. And that is very subjective, I will say, like, that's
Yeah,
very up
it
to.
really doesn't say there.
Up to debate.
We
Yeah.
do have to do all the options, but yeah,
I mean,
we have the right to disturb, well,
right. But
maybe we have the right to disturb
I'm
10%, yeah.
I don't have so much issue with the house, because there's already a dwelling that's about the same size in the 200-foot anyway, you know what I mean, pretty much. I mean, I would,
Yeah, and
I
I
would just
don't
like
have
to
an
see the
issue
septic,
with impacting, like, building, you know, within the outer riparian zone.
Yeah.
That's not really my issue. Again, I'm a little bit more concerned about the septic. I'm not saying that something can't be built, including a septic, within the riverfront area. I'm just saying if there's an alternative, then that should be looked at, and we should try and minimize the impact. And I think minimizing the septic in the riverfront area is gonna be a positive for this project and protecting
I agree.
the river.
No, 100%.
I agree as well.
So if we were asking them to come back with this one, what about the house? Is everybody okay with that? Is there gonna be issues with people on the commission here?
No,
I think-
What?
I mean, I think the house is okay. It's
think the
already a
house is fine
disturbed
where it is.
area,
Yeah, okay.
so it's not,
Okay,
we're
so
not doing anything different.
if
since
you
the
guys could
septic-
move the septic over, do you wanna continue it, and that would make everybody happy, and it'd be good?
Well, what,
I have a question.
Sure.
Okay, so the existing house goes right through that purple line.
Right.
Yep.
Okay, so if I move the septic in front of that existing house,
Right.
okay, you're gonna give me the okay to build behind that purple line with the dwelling,
Correct,
Yes, yeah,
correct.
okay? Because there's an existing garage, you guys
Right,
are there.
yeah.
Yeah.
That's there.
You have
not
existing
touching
structures
that.
there already, and you're taking them out,
What's
so
that?
you're taking out those existing garage and
The garage
That
is
garage
staying.
that
Yeah.
garage is staying, okay. But the existing dwelling here, that went over
The
here,
existing dwelling is gonna be torn
will
down,
be gone, right, so.
Correct. which I already have the permit to do that.
Right,
yeah.
yeah, so
Just
we don't,
haven't done
right,
it.
Again, the issue isn't the house, it's the septic.
Okay, so if I get the septic system over there, I can pretty much put the well anywhere in that area as long as I'm 150 feet away from the septic. Is that
Correct.
Yep.
correct?
right.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay,
Same with the other house too, basically, right?
Yeah.
yep,
Okay, that
yep.
we good? So you guys okay with that, continue it next time, okay? Again, the same date, is that,
21st, yeah.
Okay.
21st.
Make a motion, do we
make a motion to continue?
continue this meeting to the 21st?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Okay, very good. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Really appreciate you guys working with us on this. Okay.
And we do have meeting minutes
Right.
to approve from the last meeting. I
let's-
did include the April 2nd meeting minutes on this agenda as well. Oh, wait, no, I didn't. I just included the 16th, but
This is April
we
16th.
did approve the April
I
2nd
was gonna say, I thought we did those.
minutes at the last
I
one.
saw the original. when- I
Yeah,
think-
so I watched the video back and it's like really quick, but at like an hour and 43 minutes in, I believe, is exactly where you guys made that motion, like just around there. Carl made the motion and seconded it, and those minutes were approved, so.
So let me just add that in.
So
and
that
then
would be
we
my only-
approve the minutes as amended.
Did you guys have any questions before we end this meeting? No, you good? Okay.
And it was unanimous?
Yes.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you for doing them. We
So that's the
appreciate it.
only, uh,
So you would just approve these as amended, because I just fixed them, not send them both over to Jill.
but does anybody have any changes to these?
Nope.
No.
But we have to approve as amended?
Because I just changed them.
Okay. All right, so I make a motion, we approve the minutes of 4/16/2025 as amended.
Second.
All those in favor of approving the minutes from April 16th meeting as amended?
Aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? All those opposed? Okay, so 3-1. All right? Okay, before we close though, I just wanted to thank Curtis for being on the commission. I know this is your last meeting.
Yeah.
And good luck on the planning board.
Thank
And,
you.
Thank you for putting your time into the meeting, to the commission.
Thank you.
I really appreciate it, so.
Yeah,
I had
thank
a
you for your
great time,
service.
Learning experience being on the board, and
Right.
hopefully it'll continue on in the next.
And hopefully your learning experiences, you'll never do this ever again. Don't put that in there.
Oh, it's fact.
And now we can reach out to you with planning questions, right?
Yeah.
But again, thanks
Can
for.
work together more, I
That's
guess,
right.
or whatever.
And thanks for putting the time. Hopefully we can get somebody to.
Yeah, hopefully you'll find
Replace you.
somebody relatively quickly to
Yeah.
jump in and so you have a full panel again, or full board.
Yeah, if anyone's out there watching and you want to join the Conservation Commission, I know we have a lot of fun here, so
It's really fun.
let me know.
A lot to learn, but it's good.
Yeah.
All right, so I hear a motion to close the meeting.
So moved.
Second.
All right, all those in favor, close?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Nothing. Okay. That's it. Thank you, Area 58.